I have a lot of friends who will outsource their frustration in life. If you ask them a question that requires them to do something just a little bit more difficult than the average, their answer will be, I would if I could. And that bothers me. And it bothers me because that's an attitude. That's a decision, like Nora said. So what happens here? What's the magic? For those of you who are interested in physics, or just a little bit in math, there's an abbreviation for kilograms, and that's KGS. So when you see KGS, you know that means kilograms. But today when you go home, I want you to think about that differently. It won't be kilograms. We'll break it down to 3 different items. The first letter, K, stands for no. What we do is we try to get people to understand and get to know what those tools are they need to be able to do this, or quite honestly anything that they want to do in life. And so we spend time on it. We don't spend a lot of time on theory. We just do it. And they get to know it. Then we step into the second stage, which is G, and that is grow. So first is know, then it's grow. So we start working on it, we give speeches. This is not a listening place. If you're interested in listening, then this is not the place to show up. What we do is we give speeches, and we give longer speeches, and we give more speeches, and we make mistakes, and we cry, and we're embarrassed, and we're worried about all the things. Annette, can you imagine that did she have any reason to be worried? That people would be more interested in the dessert than her? And so they start to grow, and magic, that's where the magic starts to happen, because the 12 or the 11 people in this room started to care about each other, and they helped each other, and they actually encouraged each other. We heard a little bit about the value of encouragement. And then they reach this point, and we get to letter S. So we had know, then we had grow, and the final stage is so. So they now know, they grow, and their job is to take what they've learned and so. Because in this over-digitized world, we lose the biological touch with each other. This is the only way we can do this. And when they get up here, you can look at them, you'll remember these stories, you'll remember the faces, and they've sowed a seed. And the reason this whole idea is growing is because people walk away touched. And they sort of get a little bit embarrassed, and they say, you know, I want some of that. Now, we know this works with talented people because you saw 11 talented people. But this also works with people who are not talented. This works with people who have made bad decisions, to refer to Nora's speech. Because as part of a place, part of a follow-on, we have several programs going, but our alumni students go in weekly and teach people in jail. So they take the skills they have and they go in and they work with 10 people who've spent 10 years behind bars. And their clothes are the wrong size and they look horrible. And you're in a room certainly a whole lot smaller than this and certainly less attractive than this. And with no tools, no data processing, no computers, no phones, no projectors, no microphones. And by simply paying attention to them and giving them a reward, your attention. And then giving them honest feedback. If you ask any one of the students, the one thing we don't allow, I certainly don't allow, is when somebody gives a speech to sit down and say, that was a good speech. No! That means nothing. If I want somebody to change, then I need to be specific. But here is where the magic really happens. Because when I tell you something specific about your speech, for me to maintain my credibility, I have to do it in my next speech. And so it creates this little loop that starts to work. And you can ask the students, don't ask me, one almost like popcorn pops. And then the next week, 2 more feel like now they have permission to step out of their comfort zone. And then by the 3rd or the 4th session, you see bodies change. You can see the way a person stands. If you want to see how they feel on the inside, look at the way they hold themselves. We see this in jail. We'll have somebody who comes in depressed, and by the 3rd or 4th speech, their clothes are horrible. Certainly it's not a fashion statement, but their chest is out and they give an incredible speech. And you can ask Sigati Attila, you can ask Ati Sabo Atish, who work in this Speak program. It happens. So know, grow, and sow. It doesn't matter if it's public speaking or it's learning to code or learning to do anything. But the message I would like you to take home tonight is when somebody around you comes to you with that wonderful excuse, I would if I could. Or maybe you feel the urge to respond, I would if I could. You think back to this evening and reverse that sentence and say, I could because I would. Thank you.